The reason I like transurfing is because it has a principle called the truth of balancing forces, or some principle based on this balancing forces idea. Now, I want to explain it a little bit because it's interesting. From a health perspective, health has largely to do with digestion, because the digestion itself determines everything in this physical dimension, because digestion is the condition, or you know the thing that makes action possible. It is the condition for action. Now, unless digestion takes place, action cannot take place. And as you may know, strategizing is taking action, but you can also kind of like think without taking action, if you know what I mean. Now, every thought you think is a form of taking action, but intentional, conscious strategizing or thinking is completely different from that, because it, you know, complies to you as a pendulum. Pendulum is anything that it's like a system, so it's like, a universe of its own almost. It's just this is not an official definition. I just kind of understand it this way. So speaking of action, action is what creates either balance or imbalance, because it is just always different to the norm. It is always something unprecedented, no matter the actual expression of taking action. Why? Because in any given moment and in any place on this earth, when someone takes action, it is something that will never repeat. Beauty is volatile, it is fading fast. And the same way, we have to keep momentum to keep up any result. So, the reason balancing forces are impacted by our level of health. Health in general correlates with things we cannot always explain all the time. And when I say things that we cannot always explain, I mean balancing forces can sometimes happen, to us. They can feel as something that happens to us. It can seem like it is out of our control, but definitely not something that happens for us. And yet, we, as part of any system, we get to experience being influenced by that system. And so, sometimes we cannot always predict what influences we will get. Now, balancing forces in general, they tend to act against some force that is out of balance. Now, this is important because returning to baseline is returning to source. It is returning to a state of alignment, a state of consciousness that is pure and natural, for sure. But seeking to maintain balance in and of itself can also lead to balancing forces to come into play and enforce, change. And it is because of this that I want to emphasize the importance of digestion. I live in a world where patriarchy is really present. Men are the doers of society, they are the initiators, consciously or not, they create society. So, in all of this doing, on all of this doing things and activities and projects and people, you know, are largely women. 50% of the population is a woman, I mean, female. And so 50% of the population is not small men. So, what this implies is that women, because they are inherently different from men, right? Their bodies work differently biologically, and their brains work differently and completely differently. Like, the size of the brain matters, but the quality of that thing that is inside our school also matters. So, it is not even a question of who is smarter or not. It is just why are we different and how? What is exactly different about us? Because if we recognize the differences, we can start working together for the first time in history. Now, women, because they are, generally softer in a way, but definitely physically softer, they need more time to digest things, especially if those things they do not have an outlet for. Those things are, you know, doing all the time. I mean, initiating and not really, balancing forces. So if you want to heal, you have to digest better. Now, I've been experimenting with uh, meat-free diet, so I have been trying to eliminate all types of meats, including chicken, fish, and even seafood. I have realized that fish can have a similar effect to chicken, but red meat I have not been consuming um, for almost 5 years now, and you know, even by accident. Chicken I have consumed like every 5 months, if that. And the last time I ate it, a little bit of it, was like 2 3 months ago. I couldn't sleep that day, by the way. Now, fish is different, but fish still is said to have the same acidifying effect as any type of meat. I don't. I'm not sure about cheese or dairy, because dairy is something that um, is not animal, like the flesh of an animal is like kind of neutral, like more, definitely more neutral than meat, but um it also can be kind of acidifying. If I remember correctly, goat cheese and what is it, a type of mozzarella that is not made of milk from cows, is said to be better for digestion. But in general, meat is not something that causes alkaline, causes an alkaline environment in the digestive system, because of how it's made up. So there is difference between food and foods, for sure. And well, I do not come from a place that is aware of that. So as a woman, I kind of am forced into this role of being the digestion itself. But this can be such a limiting role, because um, I don't really get to take action myself or express myself in a way where it's like I feel empowered, you know. My only one of my only sources of relief in terms of how empowered I feel or do not feel comes from the fact that I'm aware of my menstrual cycle as a woman. And so every time I have a cycle, I get to experiment, not just experiment, but benefit from certain phases of my cycle that are different from other phases of my cycle. And Dr. Mindy Peltz has done wonderful research on it, which I really appreciate. And had it not been for that particular um, book, which Dr. Mindy Peltz has written, I think I would be like so much more lost. I just want to say, women, you are literally a relief in society, and even if you do not know it, you are very important. But I know that you may know this and that you may not think that this is the main point to life, but rather enjoying life itself, right? I know, I am in those shoes myself because I have human limits. And nevertheless, I can't wait until I get out of my current position, you know. But I'm excited.